Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on October 14th, 2023 at approximately 4:23 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. I build myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the philosophies that I personally use to guide my own way of living. With this in mind, I have shared these tools with literally thousands of other people with various degrees of success based entirely on their own personal efforts. Now, I can tell you the tools work, but I can also tell you that even the best tool in the world will not help if you don't pick it up. Now, before I get into it, we have Emmy Tonga in with the gold, and Nathan with the Quantum Show is in with the silver. And with Nathan here, let's just get this sorted around right. Pop that there. And scroll down and we grab the Quantum Show here. Oh, come to think of it, what have we got here? Today is Saturday, isn't it? Okay, guys. Now, this is the link to Nathan's show. Now, coincidentally, well, not really that much of a coincidence. But there's Nathan's show, so drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, absolutely give him a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. Now, the thing I said was coincidentally, which it is not. Oh, by the way, Ferret, you are in with the silver today. Well done. What do we got? I cannot read that. Oh, there we go. Nathan is having Ghost Month on his show. Okay. Now, I gotta ask there, Nathan, are these ghosties or ghoulies? Which, I'm not entirely certain whether that goes oddball, but Joe, you are in with honorable mention. Way to go. Well, we really do appreciate your support there, Joe. Now, with this being, of course, it's October, so of course having ghosties on Nathan's channel ought to be entertaining, and we will see how my energy levels work. But I do absolutely encourage you to drop in and have a listen to what he's got to say. Nathan usually has some really interesting insights into things. Now today, Nathan goes, these are things I have experienced, which always makes it more entertaining. And realistically, this is why we talk about the things we do. And a lot of the things that I work with, yes, I've experienced them. There's no question there. Okay. But some of them sound right out in left field. Okay. And am I going to go and strive to prove them? No. That's somebody else's job. But today we're looking at dream boards, how they work, what they're for, do they actually have a primary functional purpose? And the answer, as far as the last question goes, is absolutely they do. Okay. Now, let's see if we can do something here. Okay, I'm not going to get out a big board because I just don't have the room for it. So pop that out of the way. I do, however, have a blank sheet of paper. Now, here's the thing, and guys, remember, if you're new here, number one, the cross chatter, the supporting each other is absolutely encouraged. If you've got a question, even if it is not about the topic we're dealing with, put your question in the chat room, okay, and put it in preferably all caps. at least partial caps or that funny little wavy hand so that I can see that you've got a question. If I don't actually get to your question, I probably missed it. So I'll apologize ahead of time on that one and just ask you if it's been a while, if you posted a question and I haven't gotten to it, absolutely repost the thing and I'll try and catch it on the second run. Failing that, okay, failing that, if you look below this video, you'll find a whole list of ways of getting a hold of me. Okay, so drop me a line. I will be more than happy to do my best to answer your questions. Now, what do we got here? Football, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, do dream boards have a purpose? Absolutely. Now, here's a neat little thing. Okay, and the reason I grabbed this board is because it enables me to actually draw. I am not good at drawing. Okay, so let's just get that straight. Okay, but what we do, pick whatever dream. Now, in my case, let's look at this. Okay, in my case, we're going to work on overall the Yldrbacian Chronicles. Okay, now what do we have to do there? We start with the outer edge. Okay, what we're doing is you take a sheet and you'll notice, actually, I'll show you this one before I get any further. You'll notice this one is this whiteboard here is a much larger sheet. I don't have enough wall space in my room, which is why it's over there. Where are we here? What? Take that. Football's asking, do animals act strange during an eclipse? Animals, plants, humans, corporeals, they all get affected because during an eclipse, the electromagnetic field is altered. This will have a direct bearing on virtually everybody. Okay, but that does not mean that they have a negative run. Okay, this just means it has an effect. How you deal with it is up to you. Now, when we're looking at dream boards, now I did it in this way simply so you can see what I'm doing. Now, you start off with your main project, then with the main goal. In this case, it's the Yldrbacian Chronicles. Okay. But to get that done, I've already got 10 and 11 done. Okay. So we're going to correct this just a little. And we're going to go, why? This is the big project I'm breaking down. I'm doing this for a reason. I got a whole bunch of things I'm trying to tie together. So I've got the Yldrbacian Chronicles, book 12. But in order to do that, and all we do here is start filling in the little side and the little projects that add to it. So we know that I have to have Y11 done, Yldrbac 11. I have to have Yldrbac 10. We have to have Races of the World. And we have to have the office sorted out. Now you'll notice when we do this, and this applies to any project you're working on, okay, you'll notice we've got the primary in the center. Now each of these has to be completed to put the Yldrbacian, to put Return to Paradise again to work. Then we run a line from the four outlines, and from the four outlying areas. And again, the reason I say you pick 4 projects is because of the fact that 4 is the number of foundation. Okay, this way you get a stable foundation, but you'll notice we are not actually looking at just 4 points. Okay, you're looking at the center point plus the 4 corners. This gives you 5 points in total. But now we know these are all connected. Okay, in order to get these done, in order to get these projects finished, and especially this one, we've got to get the other ones done. Okay, so we know to get 11 completely tied together, 10 has to be done first. So we run a line from 10 to 11. Okay. We also know that in order to get book 10 done properly and recorded properly, the office has to be running in proper order. So we run a line from there up to here. Okay. Now, Races of the Worlds is involved in literally all 3 of these. Well, in all fairness, all 12 of them. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, we will deal with that in about 10 seconds. Okay, where did I put it? There it is. Okay. Yeah, Ferret's just saying, I guess I don't understand eclipses. I thought it would be total darkness, like the movie Apocalypto. No. An eclipse simply means that if it's a solar eclipse, then literally what you're dealing with, and I forget which side is which, but all it does is blocks out a section of the sky. Okay, because another object goes big. Here's the sun here. Here's your Earth over here. And there is another body traveling because it's a solar eclipse. The moon is traveling. Well, no, that's entirely. Oh, try and remember the mechanics behind it here, which gives you an idea how well that works. Now, what have we got here? Ultimately, what it boils down to is you've got the sun glowing that is coming down down on Earth. Absolutely. But now let me see if I get this straight. When you're dealing with a solar eclipse, if I remember the mechanics right, the moon comes across in front of the sun, okay, comparatively speaking, and blocks out the sun for a short period of time, which means you get this great big black spot with a halo. Because in case you hadn't noticed, the sun is usually bigger than the moon, but that depends on distance and where you are and what have you. Okay, a lunar eclipse goes the other direction. It disappears, it gets blocked off itself. Okay, now I am not an astronomer, so I'm really not the person to deal with eclipses as far as the mechanics go. What I do know is that when an eclipse hits, it does have a direct impact on the animals, the plants, and the people. Okay, some people it drives off the deep end, some people it just makes edgy, but it does have a definitive impact on them. You know, but yeah, it may be in your best interest there, Ferret, to really look up either on the internet or better yet, if you can make contact with an astronomy group, okay, or with a group that deals in astrophysics, they can explain it a lot more effectively for you. Yeah, Joe goes, there's about 2 weeks and 3 days until Halloween. I'm surprised the paranormal activity back there isn't much more. You got to remember, Halloween itself has no bearing on the dead. Okay, for them, it's just another day in the non-life of. That's why it gets a little different. But no, paranormal activity around Halloween, yes, a lot more people will see it because a lot more people are focusing on it. Now, when we look at a dream board, the one thing I will tell you is because everything's connected, what we're actually doing is you're looking at, now you'll notice the row, if you run straight through, Races of the Worlds does connect with 10. We draw a line here, it connects with the office, and again, the reason we've got this is because the office has to be running smoothly to keep everything tracked properly. Now, what we look at here, like this gives you the baseline. Now we start filling in odds and ends. Okay, when you're looking at the office. Okay, again, and I do recommend finding 4 points that will apply to any to whichever package, because 4 is your foundation number. Okay, this is just one of those funny little tools that does work to keep your head on straight. Now, I use a dream board simply to help me organize things. I've talked about lists multiple times. They are a more linear form of a dream board in case you haven't pieced it together. Okay, so when we take a look at this, like I said, pick a dream, pick a goal, doesn't matter what it is. Put it right in the center of your board. This This itself, by simply writing it down, draws the energy out of the spiritual realm into the physical world where it can be made manifest. It also helps you stay focused on what you're after. Okay, now, where it comes to breaking things down, okay, in order to get this tracked properly, okay, we have this neat little thing, and this is where it all starts coming together. Okay, because part of the organization of the office is, in this case, putting the compendium together, which is a book designed to simply tell what happens throughout the saga. But it is part of the organizational period point. Plus, of course, well, obviously we have to get the filing all done. Okay. By doing this, we get the center point organized, and now we can stay on top of 12. Okay, what your project is, whatever it is, and this is where it becomes a little bit sketchy, is if you don't have a definitive goal, okay, you're going to have a hard time building a dream board. And bear in mind, a dream board can be just about anything. Where'd my pen go? Okay, let's do this in a slightly more generic form. Okay, same idea though. First thing we do is, now, if I were to ask you guys, what is something that you feel absolutely they do football? Okay, I put one together, but I'm not getting married yet. Okay, well, actually, that's not entirely correct. Well, no, I'm not getting married yet, but it will come. So what you do, let's take a look at that for just half a second. Okay. We put in the middle of the board, we put the wedding. Okay. Now, what are some of the things that are required? And this is just to give you guys a working function. Okay. What are some of the things that you do have to have in place to put a wedding together? Or for that matter, to put a grad celebration together? Okay. And then we have the first one. We require a venue. Okay. What that venue is entirely up to how you want to look at it. We require a dress. Okay. And fair it goes, we've got to have invitations. Now you'll see how all this works out. Okay. Okay, you've got to have the wedding, the venue, the dress, the invitations. Okay. We also, for some bizarre reason, you require flowers. Okay. We are going to require music. Okay. And let's face it, let's face it, we are going to require an official. Yeah, Ferret, that might be an idea. Ferret is suggesting you might desire to have a fiance. Kind of important because if you don't have a fiance, the wedding may be a little short-staffed. Okay. By the way, in most people's cases, you do want a guest list. Now, with this in mind, now football. Is this saying that Hugh Jackman is available as a fiance or just as somebody to be there? Remember one little detail. Whenever you're building a dream board, you never put somebody's physical name on there, like actual name there. Because first of all, it interferes with freedom of choice. Now, when we're looking at this, okay, as you can see, the board filled up pretty quick. Now we start linking it together. We know the wedding is the overall. And we know all of these have to connect to the wedding. Yeah, that worked really well. All of these bits and pieces have to connect to the wedding, right? So we take this and we go draw the fiance straight through to the music because, well, it goes to the wedding goes to the music. The official goes to the wedding. The guests go to the wedding. We have an invite going to the wedding. The venue comes down to the wedding. The dress comes to the wedding. And so do the flowers. Now, when we look at this, you'll notice things are starting to connect. Now, something else to look at here. You've got your flowers and your music. Okay, now many times where you buy your dress will be connected to, will have connections to a musician that works weddings that these people will recommend. Okay, they will also have recommendations or provide the service themselves of getting the flowers. Ferret, much as I agree the honeymoon is imperative, hate to be the one to pop your bubble though. The honeymoon comes after the wedding has happened. But I like the way you're thinking. And again, something very important about a wedding. Okay, if you're dreaming about a wedding, something to keep in mind. You're told, in all likelihood, ultimately football it really is, but we'll get to that in a little bit. what you're usually told is till death do us part. What you're not told is that's the death of the emotional connection, not necessarily the physical body. So we have these three here. The music, the dress, and the flowers can probably all be provided by the same individual. Okay, but this person will likely bring these two into existence. Okay, or either they will, or the person you're getting dressed from has all these connections. You know that the musician will have connections to dressmakers because they keep getting asked to do things. Okay. Now, when you do this, okay, now the official, of course, comes in all over the place. Now, that official that we're talking about, you need an official that will handle the dress, that will handle not the dress, but you need an official that will handle the wedding. You also require one that will handle the venue and make sure all of the legal stuff is where it belongs. So we add another line here. Now, of course, we know the fiance is kind of necessary. Okay. This one is kind of an interesting setup because we've got guests here and invitations. Well, there's no point in invitations if you don't have guests. And if you've got guests, you might want to inform them about what's coming up. But as you can see, we're building a web that's interlocked. Okay. Yeah, here we have one company that can accommodate three things, that can likely accommodate three things. When you're dealing with, now, of course, we've got this other neat little thing. You've got the invitations you desire. Now, the invitations require one thing we haven't got listed here. Okay. And that is we don't have the printer listed. You require that in order to get the invitations done. If you've got food coming on, and we forgot to write that down. So we have the printer that's going to be dealing with the menus. Okay, if you go that route. And ultimately, football, whenever we're talking manifestation, we are talking practical magic. Okay, what you're doing is visualizing the outcome that you desire to have happen and then setting things in motion to make it happen. If that makes any sense. Now, by the way, we've been laying out a thing here. Okay, we've been laying out a thing here for a wedding. Now let's take that one step into another venue. Okay, get that out of the way. And again, you can call this is. Now, I've talked to you about lists. Now, you know what to say, the old saying, you know, a picture's worth 1,000 words. Well, let's take a look at the clutter in your own life. It can be classified that way, certainly in football. Football is just asking. So blowing out the candles on a birthday cake is candle magic. Essentially, yes, because what you're doing, first of all, you've got the cake. Then you put the candles on, light them. You're now drawing attention to the cake is a sign of the celebration. The candles, when you light them, bring the energy towards the cake, bring your focus to that cake. Now, we all know we're told when you get the birthday cake, you make a wish and blow out the candles. Okay, this is to signify you're making the wish and you're sending that message up to the heavens via the smoke that is left after the candles are blown out. Okay, it is another way of physically helping manifest that which you desire to see happen in your life. Now, for those of you that are facing people that go, candle magic is bad, ask yourself this: if candle magic is bad, why do so many churches and religious places use candles? Okay, we can safely say in today's world it's not for lighting. Okay, so now let's take a look at this. Okay, no, that ain't gonna work. AKA, these felts are starting to dry out. There we go. So again, now, and what I'm doing here is just giving you a couple of ideas on what you can do on how a dream board can help. Now, in this case, we're going to pop into the middle of this. Okay, we're going to take a look at this. Okay, and that just simply says, in case you can't read my writing, which is likely, that says clutter. Now, I'm just going to look at this room around us. Okay, to get rid of the clutter, the first thing that has to happen is you got to have an idea of what has to, not specifically what has to go. Well, let's put it this way, Joe. Joe's just asking, so blowing out the candles on a birthday cake and making a wish, theoretically speaking, that wish will come true. I really hesitate to get your hopes up and say will, but I will tell you this: blowing out the candles on a birthday cake and making a wish does stack the deck in your favor. Okay, not making a wish will not stop you from attaining that. But making the wish will help you focus things. And of course, that vocal side of it, you know, people say make a wish, but don't tell anybody. Let me ask you this. Okay, and we're just going to look at that aspect for half a second. Where it comes to a dream you have, people on the whole require help to attain their dreams. Okay, Lord knows I certainly do. Okay, there is no way that I would have gone global with this live stream if I hadn't had your guys' help. Well, this is the thing, Ferret. I'm not gonna, there's no doubt blowing out the candles does put germs around. But here's the thing: everything in existence puts germs around. Now you get to call how you want to deal with it. I'm a firm believer that as long as you're not spitting on the candle on the cake, you're not in any danger. Because remember, you're breathing. If you're in the same room, that air is still landing on the cake. At least I hope if you're in the room with a birthday cake, you're still breathing. Okay. I just don't get caught up in the whole idea of where the germs are coming from. Now that's me. Okay. There are precautions you take, obviously. Now I know back when I was a kid, quite often people would put, you know, people would turn around and put a one of these perpetual candles in. You put the candle in, you blow it out, the thing lights again. Not nice, but makes it really hard to blow it out. So the first thing we got to do when you're looking at getting rid of clutter, okay, take a look at the area around you, okay, and one of the first things that has to be done. What do we got? Football goes. I saw two TV shows. People put their mouths on an ice luge. Now, to be honest with you, I don't know what an ice luge is. Okay, but if at an event somebody is putting, you know, somebody's putting their lips on something like that, absolutely, I agree with you. This is gross. Okay, but the theory is you're inviting people to your wedding or to your party that aren't going to do that. And if they are going to do that, the theory is you already know they're going to do that. Now, we take a look at this. We got clutter in an office, okay, and a door that's not fully set. Did that help? I don't know. Oh, okay. Thank you very much, there, football. I really do appreciate your filling me in on that. Like I said, the last thing I'm going to say is I'm really versed in social etiquette. I'm really not. Although I do know better than to put my mouth on an ice luge. Okay. I also know better than to serve myself cake with my fingers. There's just something a little off kilter here. Okay. In my opinion, if you're pouring a drink down an ice luge, it's not on the ice for long enough to cool it enough. What have we got here? Joe goes, my 44th birthday is on November 3rd. If my parents make a cake with 44 candles on it, I'm going to make a very important wish, but I'll probably just get cookies or something. No, 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 no. I mean, technically, you're probably right. However, this being said, you never limit yourself. Whatever that wish is, whatever that dream is, make the wish you desire. If you get cookies, great. Okay. Dotsy, how you doing? Glad you could join us. The thing is, my father always put it this way: shoot for the stars. You may only get to the moon, but you're still off Earth. You can absolutely put a candle on a cookie. You can put a candle on an ice cream on an ice cream on an ice cream cone. Okay, there is nothing stop. The only thing is, and I strongly recommend this: if you're putting cakes on a putting candles on a cake, a cookie, a muffin, a pickle. Okay, use a use a small pickle. Use a small candle. Okay, one of these great big tube candles, not good in the middle of a cake. I do agree with you there, football. You know, the only drawback with ice cream cake is if you leave it out too long, you now have sludge, which is not a great setup. But we take a look at this little diagram. We've got clutter here. Well, couple of things that have to be done in order to remove the clutter to make everything in this office work. Whether it's my office, your office, doesn't matter. Okay, you have to know first and foremost, clutter means anything that doesn't belong in that room. But you've got to have your shelves to work with. You've got to have your file system to be able to organize it. You absolutely have to know how much floor space you've got, depending on what you're striving to lay out. Okay. So you need to know what amount of area you're working with. And you have to have a place to move the clutter to. Now, do understand clutter does not have to go automatically where it belongs. You may not get there. But if you start with clearing out the parts that you don't require, that you've got to have clear, you're going to make headway. Okay. So what we do here, the other thing you do have to have, and this is where the dream board comes in. You've got to have a plan. Now you'll notice I've got 5 spots again. Primary goal is to get rid of the clutter. Okay, so when we take a look at this, you take a look at your shelves, and around the shelves, we need to, first of all, you have to have a plan where to put the clutter, because you're not likely going to be throwing it out all at the same time. Okay, so you have to have a plan for relocation. Okay, now with the plan for relocation, you can take all the stuff from around here and move it. So the shelves, we go remove the excess. Now, the shelves connect to the clutter, the filing connects to organizing it, the area connects to also the organizing, and this is all part of the plan. Okay. Now, what you've got here, this excess comes all the way around over here to your relocation. Now, you'll notice that this line from the excess cuts across the area that's cutting into here, which simply means you gotta have an area to put your relocated stuff. Okay, and yes, I'm going to show you how easy this is while I'm working on this today. Okay, now we've got the file. Okay, and again, your filing cabinet, that filing cabinet, because we're talking about an office here, that filing cabinet has to contain all of the organizational stuff. And again, it comes around this file, these files have to have a place to relocate. Okay, so you've got the files coming to the relocation area and the removing the excess going there. Ultimately, you're removing the excess files as well. Okay, and we already know you've got the area it's being relocated to. The shelves are part of that area. Shelves are also part of your filing system, and your filing system is part of the plan. You'll notice it's starting to cross on, that you're starting to get strong cross steps. Here, right here, is the issue of knowing that little circle is a cross, because your shells have to have excess going someplace. There's got to be an area for that, and that area is where you're relocating, which is what the plan is all about. Okay, over here we have you've got your plan to get rid of the clutter. Your files are coming down in here. And the neat part here is we have a location for your files. But watch this. This is a relocation point, as is this. We now have a connection here because these are connected. While you're putting the stuff here, you're keeping tabs on it in your filing system. Okay, this will enable you to make sure you stay on top of things. Okay, now we also have this neat little problem here. When we take a look at the shells, because they go through the clutter into the plan, they are connected in that fashion. But you also have to remember that while you're doing this, you're getting a clearer picture of what is required. So let's just take a look at what that does here. That didn't work. Now, I take a look at this mess. Okay, and I call it a mess. But you'll notice my bed is not covered anymore. Okay. Now, when we take a look at this, and now I realize you can't see a whole lot of what's going on in real clear area, but this bag here, this is my go bag. It's got my wallet. If I gotta go out of the house in a hurry, I grab this thing, it goes with me. Okay. But take a look at the stuff you've got now. Over on this shelf beside me over here, okay, that's where my inventory is sitting. That's the stuff that I require for any books I'm working on. That plus my filing cabinet. Now, I'm not going to pull the filing cabinet apart. I already did that once. Thanks very much. But is this making sense to you at this point? Okay, because all we're doing here is taking an idea, giving it some sort of form so you can stay focused on it. Okay, this is a lower grade version of a dream board here. Take these, put them over here out of the way. Now we have those two sheets there, but one of the biggest things with getting organized is staying on top of it. But here's another form of dream board. Okay. That's this little thing here. It's called a physical calendar. This is your tabletop calendar. Some of you used to use these, some of you still may. The same thing applies on a computer. Every time you write something down, you're recording what's coming up. Okay. Now I'm on Saturday right now, which realistically means we go over here. What do we have here? On the 10th, we had, what did we do on the 10th? 10th I actually missed. The 11th, though, we dealt with fundamentals. Wasn't there today? Yesterday we were dealing with spirit guides. Today we're dealing with dream boards. Now, this is the quickest way of looking at a dream board as far as how quick it can manifest. Okay, whoop, did that wrong. I'm taking this neat little calendar here. Okay, now I'm just putting it here because I can reach it. This neat little list is what I've got booked for the coming weeks. So we look at the 15th. 15th, we're dealing with open. On the 16th, on Monday, we're going to be dealing with the watchers. The 17th, we will be dealing with gaming and its impact. Now you'll notice what's happening here is I'm talking about what my dream is, what my goal is for this week. And it's starting to fill up. Okay, Wednesday, which is the 18th, we are dealing with literally altering your path. The 19th, I won't be here because I'll be gaming. What do we got for the 20th? Okay. On the 20th, we're going to be looking at dream journals or journals in general. or more to the point, and journals in general. Now, on the 21st, what are we looking at on the 21st? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, okay. Oh, that's what we did. Okay. My apologies. I read that wrong. 20th, which is Saturday, we'll be dealing with the dream journals. Okay. But on, that's 21st. 20th, Friday, we are going to look at. Now, I'm going to give you guys an option. Okay, I've got four topics sitting here. Okay. I'm quite willing to deal with any one of them on Friday. Okay, bearing in mind Friday is when we do our best to Greg, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And please do say hello to Janine for us. Now, the four I've got right now to deal with on Friday. I've got telepathy, as in mind speaking. Does it work? How can we work with it? Past lives, the whole concept of dimensions, and the same, well, that's technically three, because dimensions and ascension are really tied together. Now, of those three topics, which one do we want to work on Saturday? Okay, football, you were first through the gate, so past lives it is. And we go to Saturday to Friday, we go to past lives. Okay, and yes, this means we will talk about what use they are. I appreciate that, Doxy. We are trying, what I'm striving to do here is get a little more organized. Because I'll tell you, I run in 15 different directions at the same time. Semper Fi there, Black Dragon. Glad you could join us. So I already have booked. And now you saw a moment ago, this neat little thing is a dream board for the month of October. And we just filled up another week of it. These I haven't locked in, okay, but I've got other topics. Now, while I was sorting through my files, I came across a whole stack of articles I'd written a long time ago, different topics. So now that I've got that sorted out, this gives you an idea. If you consider a calendar, whether it is physical or electronic, if you consider well, honestly, yeah, Doxy. You know, the funny thing is, I got tested for ADD and got told emphatically by three different shrinks that I no disrespect intended to any of them, that I am a lot of things, but ADD isn't one of them. Okay, because I do get things completed. That seems to be the ultimate decision between whether you're ADD or not. I get mine done. Okay, the comical part about it is like my one shrink told me. He goes, look, he says, you're definitely not ADD, but you would certainly get things done a little bit more rapidly if you'd quit doing 15 at once. Okay, which is why I've taken organizing things a little bit more. Now, here's the neat thing for you. We go in here and we go into M, which is miscellaneous. There we go. That what I think that is. Maybe. Okay. Now you see this file? This file contains all kinds of different thought processes I had. Absolutely, Black Dragon. And Black Dragon goes, I am ADD, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Absolutely. And you would love what I'm doing with my campaign that runs on Sunday. Okay. I actually, in my campaign, built a thieves guild that is literally rats. Good luck with the city officials being able to stop that guild. You know, but yeah, and you see, my dinner is sitting thawing out right now. My supper tonight is going to be a rasher of bacon. That's it. Rasher of bacon. I might get around to making a coffee, but for the moment, water. Okay, but these different topics, I've got a lot. And needless, and by the way, I've got a file just about the same, about twice that thick, on different races. Okay, and different information on the different races. This is what I mean by having too many things going through my head. Now, many of these topics I'm going to start posting in Facebook and what have you to get them out there. Okay, but that'll give you an idea of what I'm working on. Very vague idea, realistically. H, where are we? Nope, not H. M. There it is. So when we look at, oh, absolutely. That is very much the case, Joe. In my case, I literally cannot go to a dentist or a doctor for that matter because I haven't figured out how to overcome the PTSD. I went down, and I'll show you something really, and I've shown you guys this before. I went down to the government office to get my passport done. Okay. And the entire time I was down there, my hand is doing this for all I was trying to stop it. Okay. It does take a certain amount of concentration to slow it down. Yeah, that would do it there, Dragon. So, I mean, I've got like one of my players is actually quite literally trying, he's been running combat people. He is doing his best to run a character that is business, all about money. Well, neat thing the neat little thing there. Okay, Greg, is if you cry in the shower, nobody can see the water. It can see the tears. This is why when the Wayland cry, the Wayland live underwater. Nobody ever sees them cry. Something about too much water. You know, I look at and I've got a lot of respect for doctors. They tolerate an awful lot of stuff that they're told what they've got to do. Most of it, frankly, in my eyes, doesn't make a lot of sense for my body. It doesn't work that well. You know, how you doing there, Philip? Glad you could join us. So when we're looking at a dream board, okay, it's very much a pictographical form of the lists I've talked about. Okay, because it does when you can physically see something. Simply put, the more senses that you can include in your dream board. No. No, Waylon, Waelon, is what you know as merfolk. Okay, mermaids, merman, that sort of thing. They call themselves Waylon. Okay, even the even the sirens fall under that crew. Okay, but we'll get to them on a different day. I wasn't referring to Waylon Jennings. On the other hand, I do like his music. Of course, in all fairness, I was country, as Barbara Mandrell put it. I was country when country wasn't cool. In all fairness, I still have a sneaking suspicion many rock and rollers don't think that country is very cool anyway. But when you're looking at a dream board, basically what you're doing is getting focused on what you desire to happen. Okay, getting focused on the goal that you have, involving as many senses as you can. By doing it on a sheet of paper like this, what you're actually looking at is you're seeing the pictograph of the net that happens. Okay, of the web that happens. Okay, whereby you can figure out how to cross-reference. And this is why I work so much with the lists. Sometimes I get carried away, and what I had to do today was pare them down and go, okay, what am I working with? But a dream board will help you focus. Remember, a dream is not what the future does hold, it's what the future may hold based on your current focus. When you put it onto a dream board, it does not mean it has to happen. Okay, it means right now that's where your focus is. And like every step in life, okay, you can choose to take a different path. Now, I am looking at this. Now, let me ask you this. I'm putting articles in and my thought is this, but I'd love your input in it, on it, whatever you want to call it. I have articles going into the newsletter. Okay, I am seriously considering putting articles, posting them on Facebook and other social media that also brings people's attention to this. Okay, or at least excerpts of said articles. Absolutely, Black Dragon. And the fact that you're making those graphs and playing connect the dots enables you, much like the military when they're doing a war board, or the police when they're doing an investigative report. They take all these little pieces, put them on the board as they find them, and then connect them to each other. In this fashion, you can take that idea and see it grow into something solid. But it's up to you to do the work. I cannot stress that enough. Way too many people will sit there and go, well, I'll wait for things to fall into place. That's kind of like waiting for a tree to fall down before you use it for lumber. Okay, now don't get me wrong. Clear cutting is a bad idea. And I can show you all kinds of reasons for that. Not the least of which is you clear cut a mountainside, and all of a sudden the root system that was holding the dirt in place is gone. Doxa goes, I was doing that with my guide's information yesterday. Yeah, you can picture, you understand how that works. All we're doing is taking all of that and moving it to the material world. Okay. And it really boils down to the more focus you get. Let's see. Let's grab this one and just get it out of the way. Now, these funny little things will get taken apart later and put it away. Grab my felt back. Okay. Now watch this. We go. Now I'm laying odds. Yeah, that's exactly what you get there, Philip. You take out the root system and all of a sudden you get landslides, and the people in the houses at the bottom of the hill go, well, what happened? Well, what happened is you guys authorized clear cutting clear cut in a mountainside. Now let's take a look at your debt and the impact that a dream board can have on removing your debt. Okay, we are going to put the goal here as debt free. Yeah, I grabbed the pen that was dead. Always a good idea. Let's grab a dry or a sheet that isn't, or a pen that isn't dead, or at least hope it's not dead. Okay, you take a look at your debt from being debt free. Okay, now here's the neat part about it, and I've talked to you guys about it. And absolutely, if you want to walk through this one-on-one, I am open for the consulting side of things. Okay, but like I said, yeah, stop myself halfway through. There's an idea. If we go to investments, where is something? Way down here. Help, where is my education? Oh, of course, damn fucking there's Jordan. Hopefully this has what I hope it has. Of course not. Thought I had all that. Oh, that's because it's down there. Okay. When we take a look at your debt, okay, the first thing you want to look at that you do is you put your goal, debt free. Okay, right smack in the middle. Then you take your board and you write down literally what are your debts. And we're talking about getting debt free. So we're not talking, yeah, your living expenses matter. Yes, I'll show you how they fit in. Where are we here? Black Dragon goes, if I cut down a tree, I plant 5 to replace it. Property I'm on was 20% woods when my father got it. Now it's about 56% wood. Absolutely, and this is responsible forestry. Would be nice if they had done that a long time ago, but from what I gather, in deference to the forestry industry, they are doing a lot of replanting at this point. But you got to remember, you plant a tree today, you're 20 years before that tree is big enough to work with. So you start off on your dream board, you desire to be debt free. Okay, so what we do is you list off, in my case, I've got credit card 1, I've got credit card 2. Okay, I've got my car loan. Now these are things that I owe right now. Okay. Now this is stuff that has to go and that has to go out. So you write them all down on a big sheet of paper so you can see what you're up to. Okay. Now you may have other debts. Maybe you've got a mortgage. Okay. Maybe you've got a mortgage. Maybe you've got a second car payment. Okay. Or maybe you've got a personal debt. And bear in mind, if you owe anybody It's part of that personal debt. Okay. Each one of them gets listed. Now, right now, I've only got 7. Now we've got the other side of getting debt free. What is your income? Okay. What are any of your royalties coming in or government paychecks? Okay. So you're looking at these. Okay. And of course, if you've got an inheritance coming up, it becomes another form of income. Now, here's your income, here's your debt load. But what's here? Your aim is to be debt free, but what is holding up this transition? Well, what's holding it up is your living expenses. Okay. And when we're talking living expenses, we are talking about, you guessed it, utilities. You're looking at your rent. Do not forget the fact you're looking at food and entertainment. Do not kid yourself. Entertainment is necessary. Yeah, Philip goes, in 3 years, human bodies don't live very long. Absolutely not. They absolutely don't. But humans can take out trees at a staggering rate compared to what trees can take out humans. Unless you happen to know where there's a tree ant handy. Okay, so your living expenses, the necessary living expenses are a hindrance. And here's the real problem. Okay, many of you will have voluntary expenses. Okay, so now we've got your goal is debt free. Okay, your way of dealing with it, the root of the solution is your income. If you've got an inheritance, any royalties you may have, any government checks that may be coming in. Okay, and for that matter, any support checks that may be coming in. Now, bear in mind, a support check may be a friend that's giving you a hand. Doesn't have to be alimony or child support. It could just be a friend or a stranger handing you extra money. These are the sources of income by which you're going to work towards being debt free. But before you can deal with the debt, you've got to deal with the necessary living expenses. Okay, you've got to keep them dealt with. Now, then you've got this one, which is mutable. This is your voluntary expenses. By eliminating your by limiting your voluntary expenses, you'll be able to take the excess and start targeting these. Now, here's where it gets to be really fun. Bear in mind, I am not a financial advisor in as much as I never went to school to learn how. Probably a good thing in this case. Now, how do you figure out, like, this all comes in, gets all lumped in together? What brings how much in doesn't really matter. This will give you a total. And the total sits here. Okay. With the total sitting here, the total, all of this leads to your total. Okay. The total minuses that and that, minuses your living expenses and your voluntary expenses. From the left hand, from the money that's left over, you start targeting these. This is your debt load. Okay, now here's the neat part. That's your debt load. Now, any idea which of these you target first? As in, not specifically, but how do you tell which of your debts has to be taken care of first? Excellent, Black Dragon. Now, the nice part about that is you're one of these rare people that can do that. Okay. You're also one of the even rarer people that are willing to do that. But I'm sure you yourself understand something very important. Okay. And that is, no matter how much work you do, they're going to have to be the ones doing the final work and following through on it. But here's the kicker where it comes to a budget. A budget, in my experience, with over 100,000 clients under my belt, in my experience, a budget only works if you have a definitive income. If that income fluctuates, a budget doesn't work. Okay, it gives you a guideline, but tracking where your money goes is what will cure the debt problem. With that in mind, of all of these debts, how do you figure out which one to pin down first? Does anybody have any idea? Now, I know a couple of you already have the answer in your hand. And the ironic part of it, well, not really that ironic, it was quite intentional. This little book, okay, is literally the one I used to figure it out. But when you're looking at the debts, you take a look at all these debts, and after sorting through them, you target the smallest, monetarily speaking, interest accruing debt. You do not worry about the interest itself, the interest rate itself, because it scares the daylights out of you more often than not. But the reason you target the smallest one is because one large debt is easier, psychologically speaking, to deal with than a whole bunch of small ones. Now, the dream board, this kind of a web outlook, where you've got a visual picture all in one place, will make it so much easier for you to maintain focus on your goal. And of course, the thing you got to remember is when you eliminate one, let's say you've got a small debt, you owe one of your friends or family, you owe them $50, but like I said, you target the smallest interest accruing debt. So let's say you've got a credit card instead that's only got a $50 balance on it. Write it off. Okay, you pay the bill off completely. Then you scratch that debt out of existence. Now, here's the kicker with credit cards. When you're doing this, you're figuring out how to get debt free. But there is another thing you look at that the dream board also works with. It's a good thing I have a lot of scrap paper around today. Now, there's a lot of variations on what people will tell you works. Okay, I went bankrupt twice, listening to professionals doing exactly what they told me I should. Talk about a bad idea. Okay, but I'm not getting into that. I'm not here to complain about that. Here's the trick with let's try English, shall we? Here's the trick with getting out of that debt thought process. Okay, when you're looking at your interest rates as compared to savings. Okay, let's say you're aiming at building now. Everybody dreams of a debt-free life. This will start you down that road. This will give you another tool that quite seriously will help organize your finances with your money, not with borrowing somebody else's and going deeper into debt. But here's the neat little thing. Okay, when you're looking at your okay, These pens are definitely a little on the old side. You've got your debt and you've got your savings. Well, first and foremost, you look at the percent that you're spending on your debt. Many credit cards, you're looking at 19 to 29%. Okay. Savings accounts, if you're lucky, okay, you're making 1%. Okay. So you take a look at your debt. If your debt is charging more interest than what your savings is earning, target the debt and get rid of it. Because what you're doing if you don't is you're spending money striving to keep ahead. Okay. By wiping the debt out, this smaller interest that you're making on savings becomes a viable income. Conversely, if your savings if the interest you're making is a higher percentage with savings than what you're spending on debt, you concentrate on bringing your savings up. And again, by turning around and eliminating the smaller debts one at a time, you got more free money to work with. Okay. But again, we take a look at this and what you're looking for your debt to drop and your savings to climb by putting this on a picture form. Your mind does not think in terms of pictures or of words. Think of it this way. Okay, I'm going to give you a word and just ask yourself this. What's the first thing that comes to mind? Okay. Now the word I saw used was the word hammer. Now when I say hammer, okay, I will get to that in half a second there, Black Dragon. Regarding the credit cards being bad. There is a way to use credit cards to actually earn money. Real easy way. Okay, and it's kind of a funny way to do it. Okay, but it is one of these things that I will be implementing in very short order. Now, if I tell you the word hammer, okay, let me ask you this. Flip this over. You're going to think of one of two things. You get to figure out which one applies to you. I say the word hammer. Now, is this what showed up in your mind? Okay, is this what you pictured? When I said the word hammer, did you see that in your mind? Okay, did you see that word in your mind? Or, and pardon the artwork, okay, or was it more likely something like this? Or did you see something like that or a variation? Which one showed up in your mind when I said the word hammer? The word itself or the picture? Now, clearly you don't have to tell me. This is just something to consider. But the corporeal brain does not think in terms of words. Okay? The corporeal brain thinks in terms of pictures. And the more senses you can involve in the picture making process, the better off you are, the more effective it's going to be. Okay? Now, the same thing could be said for the word ball. Okay? Now, if I tell you the word ball, okay, are you thinking in terms of this word here? Okay. Are you thinking in terms of this word, ball? Or are you thinking of a picture of a ball? And again, pardon the artwork. Not my strong suit. Exactly, Nathan. Nathan's just going, it was picture first, then the word. Okay, that is how corporeals think. Not just humans, but every species I've ever run into. Okay, the picture, the mind is set to look on the creative side first. Now, by doing this, by looking at this, you've got a choice. Now, of course, I had kind of an oddball setup. Something came to mind that when the word ball was said, okay, I looked at this. Okay, the other option of ball. You saw a group of people getting together and dancing, celebrating. Again, the odds are you still saw the picture first and then the word. This is the way a dream board works. Because once you get that picture, then you start to break it down into more specifics. Quite often, using words to do so. Thank you so much for that there, Nathan. I trust work is going well for you. Oh yeah, and today is Saturday, so guys, in case you didn't notice when I popped his stream address up, Nathan is on YouTube tonight at 9 p.m. Central, which means that's 7 p.m. Pacific, which also means for this chat room we close down at 6:30. Half an hour later, Nathan goes on to the first part of his show. Yep, that's what I was just noticing there, Nathan. And of course, as Nathan pointed out a little earlier, Nathan's working on ghosties this week, like tonight, because oh my gosh, Halloween's coming up. But dream lords help bring the world into perspective. Absolutely, they do there, and they absolutely do there, Black Dragon. The reality of it is, if your brain can see a picture and you can draw a picture, even if it's, shall we say, a little less than functional. Nathan goes, my coworker thinks in words only, has no pictures. Well, you are right, Nathan. There are people of all kinds. Okay, I look at the reason I said it the way I did is I look at the massive majority of people. There will invariably be exceptions. Okay, that's just the reality of life. Now, one of the things that we have to realize here is when we choose to work together, we can absolutely turn this world around by sharing the images, by sharing the pictures that we have of a better world. We can make this a reality. Yes, it's going to take a lot of work. There's no doubt there. Okay. But then I never said it was going to be easy. Okay. It boils down to deciding what you desire. Now, in my case, a lot of what I'm seeing in the back here, what do we got here? See, my inventory shelf, which you can't see, will end up staying put. This one has a bunch of stuff on it that before I get done tonight, and part of the reason I tell you guys this is because one of my dreams is to have all the garbage out of here. But that means that shelf. Okay, now the boxes happen to have comics. They're staying put. Okay, but this is scrap paper. It can stay there. All of this stuff will go elsewhere. Okay, but by getting a clear picture in your own head, you can eliminate a lot of the conflict you're dealing with. But it's up to you to make that happen. In case you're wondering, I'm looking for. I've actually got some around here. I thought it was over there. It is not. The different envelopes. Oh, that's because I put them over here. Okay, that answered that. Yeah, I'm not debating whether people like that exist. There's no question. Okay, the reason that I've turned around and said, we've got to come to some general consensus. There will invariably be exceptions to the rule. There's always is. And rest assured, I rank right up there in amongst the exceptions. Oh no, Nathan, I never even considered that from you. Uh-oh. Gordana, how you doing? Glad you could join us. The reality is when we get our mindset on straight on what we desire as individuals, providing we're following karmic law, okay, there is a very functional way of meshing under one roof. Okay, and that is another issue that we will have to deal with. Where is my list? Right there. Where did I put my pen? There it is. What is it? Now, I know I've covered karmic law before, but we're going to get to it again in the near future. Okay. Absolutely, Black. The reality is, when I was growing up, with four bloodline brothers, an adopted sister, and two adopted or two foster sisters. Okay. When I had that in my house, my dad used to tell people, even with him being blind, with my parents being block parents, my dad used to tell people in the 17 years I lived at home, they only got something into the house I didn't know about a half a dozen times because I'd feel it before it got there. And yes, music does have color. Music also has a smell. Okay. And color has a smell. All five senses are involved in all five senses. This I know for an absolute certainty. Though, no, I cannot, at this stage, explain how I know. I just do. And I just go with that side of it. When you're working with a dream board, can you use your dream board to enhance your other senses? The answer is an unequivocal yes. So let's get to that as soon as I grab another sheet of paper here. Take this one out of the way. Just because I don't want to use a bunch of paper that I don't have to. Gravity works. Because these are going to get shredded anyway. Now, some of you have asked about how do I get around the idea? Like, how can I quit smoking? How can I quit looking at the negative side of the world? Okay. the dream board method will help, will work in visualizing that. Okay. Now, how do you develop clairvoyance or clear vision? Okay, well, you start off, okay, the goal is clairvoyance. Okay, that's your ultimate goal. But to get there, you do need to be able to sense it first. Okay, so your goal is to get the clairvoyance. Now I'm doing this tree a little differently instead of going all around. To get the clairsentience, there are some tools you can use. Now I used a tool the other day where I was showing you boxes with something in them. Here's an odd question for you. I did this the other day. Would you be interested in my doing another version of the same thing down the road? Okay. You can use the box. Okay. You can use the whole idea. We can take a look at the boxes I talked about. The other thing with clairsentience, the moment you feel something, Joe is, let me see, because my cursor's in the way here. Okay. Joe goes, what do I need a dream board for? A starter kit, if you will. Okay, let me ask you this, Joe. Are you making headway with your current method? If you are, then a dream board is not necessarily a requirement. But the reason I recommend dream boards less is because they are a way to help you focus, even if you're on, or even when you're on the right track. Okay, you don't have to have a car to get from A to B. If you're going 50 miles, a car is not required, but a car will certainly make it easier. This is one reason I would strongly recommend working with them, because it helps streamline the process. Okay, now whether or not, okay, and that part is very true, Black. You know, Black goes and Black Dragon goes, just deep paper and a pen or pencil. This is still a dream board. Okay, it's a sheet of paper with a picture of what you're working on. Now, the clairsentient side of things, okay, again, you get an idea in your head. Let's just say you're sitting there, you're reading the local paper, or you're watching a sitcom, and a thought comes through your mind. Oh my gosh, I think there's going to be, I think there's going to be an earthquake in the Middle East at such and such in such and such location. Write down whatever details you can. The reason for that is by writing them down. And absolutely, if you're following this method, okay, if you're following the method of writing a thought process down, you include the date, and time of the thought process of the image, okay, the image itself, okay, or the thought line itself. Write them down so when it happens, you can go back and look at what you had said and see how close you were to what you thought. How close you were in your thinking to what you were actually picking up. Now, this happening often enough, this will literally help gain your confidence so that you will start to trust it, thereby helping the dream board, the imagery in your head, get to what you're aiming for. Because once you trust those images, because they're accurate, okay, Absolutely, Black Dragon. I mean, in all fairness, you can use a stick and dirt. What do we got? Gordana goes, last night I received a phone call from the hospital. My friend told me to bring him some cut bacon in the hospital. I didn't bring a knife and cutting board in the hospital. Then the store manager, whoop. Yeah, Black Dragon goes, I don't suggest writing it on a wall. That can get messy. Don't ask me how I know. Yeah, I also found out, I found out I was actually gaming one day and found out throwing sneezing powder into the face of an inhaling red dragon is a really, really bad idea. Don't do it. Gordana, I understand your friend is in bad mental shape. Okay, but let me ask you this. And my sympathies for both your friend and those left trying to help them. Let me ask you this. Do they have time and do they have access or are they permitted access to music? As in to a headset to stream the music. Okay, the reason I ask is because if you can get them to listen, no. You know, that is a shame. Okay, so let me guess. They've got your friend jacked up on some form of medication. Okay, now here's the kicker. High-paced dance music played as loud as socially acceptable and let run will bring somebody's sense of depression up to the surface. It will help them come through. I'm looking at this, Gordana, and the reality is I am not an authority on mental health hospitals. Quite frankly, I'm not really an authority on any of it. You know, we have to look at the fact that yes, some people have mental dysfunction. And oddly enough, a dream board will also help them. Okay. And therefore, Gordon, since you're the only one that's got access to them of all the people in this room, I'd lay odds. Okay. Go to him or her, whichever. You know, go to him with whichever. Ask them one question. Ultimately, aside from getting out of the hospital, what would they like? What would their dream be? These people are quite literally, more often than not, systematically deprived of the ability to dream. They're told their dreams are absolutely unrealistic. Okay, the nice little part about it is most of the people that are in a mental health facility, most of them, where are these people trained? In the Middle Ages? I wonder if anybody bothered telling the people in mental health that physical contact is, albeit there are extreme cases where it doesn't work, but on the whole, physical contact is one of the best healing techniques available. Okay, it helps people continue. No, Joe, you're absolutely right. Anybody dealing with mental illness, it's not a fun thing. Okay, now I simply deal with with what I consider functional PTSD. As long as I don't go near a hospital or go near a dentist office, or as it turns out, go near a government office, I'm good. There are people that suffer from PTSD that an alarm on a door going off will absolutely freeze them solid. Okay, so mental illness is not something to joke about. Okay, although there are jokes, and I could tell you some really twisted ones, but we'll leave that alone for a moment. What I am going to remind you of is that dream boards or lists for accomplishment work no matter the state of the person's mind. Okay, it's just with some people's minds, the process is a little slower. Yeah, Gordon was just telling us. I laughed with my friend. We ate fresh buns and cut bacon. He fed his friends at the hospital. You know, this is the thing. You isolate people, they will drop into a worse state. You surround people you surround people with mental illness with people with mental illness, and the people working in there quite often thankfully don't have a mental illness to start with, but it's an extremely difficult job. You are absolutely right, Black Dragon. You know, the neat part about it here is this, and this is why I say I've got all the patience in the world for somebody with a desire to help themselves. Not It doesn't have to be somebody that knows how to do it, because most of you are stuck in a rut. You don't know how to break out of it. This is why I say when you get an idea in your head, when you decide you've got a dream, talk to somebody that has successfully accomplished it. You talk to somebody that has successfully gone down that road, and you'll find and this is my goal with you guys, by telling you some of what I've gone through, maybe I can help you avoid going through the same thing. Absolutely, Doxy. Family is extremely important. Yeah, Gordana goes, he's my highest friend. He's 6'5". Yep. See, my highest friend is in orbit right now. Well, actually, last I heard, he really wasn't. But I'm hoping he comes back soon. But regardless of the person's mental state, working with their dreams, asking the individual, even if they're completely off kilter, it is possible to get them to focus. I personally took a lady with multiple personality disorder, three very distinctive personalities. The doctors had given up on her. She came to me, and within the year, we had her living in some under subsidized housing, holding down a volunteer job, and now she was still multiple personality. Okay, but she turned around and got a stable life back in her hands. Now, I do not have a medical degree. I do not have a sociology degree. Okay, but I do have a track record of taking these people and going, look, this is what you can do. Because I do not look at what you've done in the past and go, let's rehash it and go, how does the fact you did this make you feel? Well, like sheep, man, I didn't like it in the first place and it's still not helping. Yeah, Doxy's going, I have many friends with pain and mental health issues. We act as a family together and find what and oh, and filling the place of family where needed. What I'm missing here is there's a funny little in the chat room. There's this little spot that shows a heart that blocks out the bottom end. Okay, now the reality of it is when I'm talking about a dream board, what a dream board does is it's a pictographical list to help you get a solid picture, a solid web in your mind. Okay, this is a pictographical depiction of what is in here. Okay, now for some people this will make more sense. For others, this will. For yet a third type, okay, simply hearing it will help stabilize the thought process. Okay, this is what we have to look at. Okay, now where are we? Oh, I understand that, Joe. Then, like, I made myself dizzy the other day playing a video game. Yeah, Joe goes, I can't go on carnival rides because I get bad motion sickness. Well, I don't go to carnivals anyway. Kind of eliminates the problem with the rides. However, when I was a kid, it was neat. My mom and dad, when I was still in the car seat, my mom would pick me up, put me in the car seat. I'd throw up. She'd pull me out of the car seat, clean me up, clean the car seat up, put me back in the car seat, and then we drive off. Okay, now that's motion sickness to a whole new level. But when we are talking about dream boards, they are literally designed to help focus the pictographic mind so that you can get centered on the goal you really have. You know, I'm quite content. I don't actually get motion sickness much anymore. I still get vertigo. Now, that one I'm going to have to see if I can do something with. I am very curious about what that actually means. So we go there, and we go paste. Oh, oh, great. I can relate to that all too well. In all fairness, Black Dragon, the reality of it for me, until I had my stroke, I felt nothing. Okay. I literally was held up at gunpoint twice and by knife once. Nobody got anything from me, but it never dawned on me there was a problem. Like I didn't feel jack. Now the difference there is when I got pushed too far. You know, when I got pushed too far, I'd go from 0 to 180, like as in from dead calm to literally physically trying to kill somebody. Thankfully, never succeeded. Okay, I never knew there was a name for it. In all fairness, alexithymia, it makes sense because there's a word for pretty much everything else. See, I could get motion sickness by watching Tilt-A-Whirl. Needless to say, I never got on the thing. I rode it once. That was way more than enough. I don't have a problem with heights. I have a problem with my balance. So as long as I've got a 3-point land, a 3-point grip, as in 2 feet and a hand or 2 hands and a foot, I don't worry about it. The height doesn't bother me, at least not as far as I know. But I won't stand up and look over something if I don't have something to hang on to, because the odds are I'll fall. And much as the yeah, it didn't work that well for me. I did find, Gordana, I did find if I had air running, like as in the window open, it helped a lot. Joe goes, you were held at gunpoint twice? No wonder you went Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I was. The first time was outside a bar. Guy pulled a gun on me, told me to give him my wallet. And I looked at him and went, why? Well, I didn't have a whole lot of time to deal with him because my buddy slapped his hand. He's holding on to the gun. He looks at the guy, at the would-be assailant, and goes, I don't have one of these. Can I keep this one? But when I got held up in Dairy Queen, okay, the guy came, he was carrying a 9mm, and he was literally closer to me than I am to my computer. Okay. And he stood there, he pointed the gun at my forehead, and he goes, get out. So I looked at him, shrugged my shoulders, haunched up my pant legs, and dropped down on my haunches, and started checking out his gun. He looks at his gun and looks down at me and goes, are you completely nuts? I says, well, and in all fairness to me, I hadn't been fully diagnosed at that point. Okay. So I looked at him, I says, well, he goes, I told you to get down. I said, I did. I'm still looking at his gun. He goes, on the floor. So I looked at the floor, I looked back at the gun, and went, I did. I am. He goes, lay down. I says, well, why didn't you say so in the first place? At which point I did lay down. You know, I mean, there's more to that story, but ultimately it didn't dawn on me there was a problem. Even when the guy pulled a 6-inch buck on me at 12 years old, it never dawned on me there was a real big problem there. And Doxy, curiosity question, you certainly don't have to answer it in the public venue, or to me for that matter. Have you taken the time to write down your experience in as much detail as you can? That is excellent. One of the things I did find, and by the way, if you go back over that list, over that story that you wrote, read over it, you may well be able to, and in all likelihood, will be able to fill in the blanks and add more to it, thereby accessing a much more complete picture of what you went through. Yeah, and that makes total sense. Just filling the pieces as you go along. I'd recommend using a different pen color, either different pen color or a different pencil. Okay. Um, I'd recommend using a different one to add the pieces. So you can look at it later and go, okay, this was the original memory, and here's where I filled in the pieces. And you're more than welcome there, Joe. What I do know is the more you write down, the clearer things will become. Yes, I know this from practical experience. Now, hopefully the message that dream boards really do work by enhancing your ability to get organized, to make your dreams a reality. Hopefully this has come across. Okay. If not, absolutely go back and listen to it. I'm leaving it up in the archives as long as I can. Now, with all of that said, okay, I really want to thank the bunch of you for sharing your time with me today. I really do appreciate the continued support and encouragement. The reality is 2 hours is a lot of time, but I'm very, very pleased with you guys showing up. With that in mind, I'm bringing this to a close. Tomorrow will be an open topic after my game. Okay. Until then, do take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.